This is the Just a Position podcast, and your stance on anti vaxxing is actually stupid, and you look like an idiot. So, this is the show for today. We have Steve with us,
Hey,
we got Randy,
Yes, sir.
and Randy doesn't have a webcam today because he don't want to be on camera and shit. So, we're just
That's
gonna let
not
him
it.
vibe.
I don't have
he
my
can't
camera.
he can't afford it. He charges us extra when he's on cam.
Yeah, he's down bad.
Yeah.
Right. We got a couple of topics today, and then just forewarning, we're doing a Suicide Squad kind of like in depth. So we'll mention it before we actually say it, so you can like click away or mute or whatever, so you don't get spoiled. We have a Dead Space update, some EA college football stuff to talk about, Trevor Moore death, which is very sad, and a few more things. And our main topic is going to be how we maintain a good work and life balance, or how we at least try to. So, with that, we'll get into our first headline, and that is the Dead Space update. I'll throw that to you, Steve.
Yeah, it's a quick update. Essentially, they're targeting fall of 2022 for a release date, so we're about a year out from it. From the article I read, it's an IGN article. We can link it. It sounds like they're positive. They're feeling good about the progress they're making, and they're hoping to meet that target and trying to keep a realistic target for that. So we got about a year before we can actually get hands on the new Dead Space remake.
Damn, that's kind of unfortunate, but I'd rather them take their time on it and make sure it's good. So I'm not too unhappy with that.
Yeah, and there's some good games coming out between now and then, so hopefully, we'll be entertained. This wasn't brought up and written down or anything, but did you get into the Back for Blood beta?
Hell yeah, I did. I played that shit a good portion of the weekend. It was really good. It's more robust than Left 4 Dead was, which for those who don't know, it's made by the same like dev team. It's still like a four-player co-op campaign zombies type of thing, but it's got some light, like very light. I don't even want to say RPG elements, but there's like stat boosts and buffs you can do pre-game that kind of make you more powerful. Basically, it's little shit like increase reload speed, increase ammo carrying capacity, shit like that. But it's really good. It ran really well for a beta, and I'm definitely looking forward to that shit day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I played it a little bit, not as much, but I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if it was just when I was playing, but I was teamed up with a couple bots a few times, which
Dude.
is fine. But it was interesting. I think they were calling them decks, where you can boost before the game, right? Yeah, that was cool. I like that element. It was fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting that. I probably, like an idiot, spend some money and get it on my PS5, since there's not a lot of good games on there, and I want to play it. So
Yep.
I'll pay for it.
Yeah, and it's like I'm one problem I did have with it is the bots are really bad. Like I had on two occasions where they just jump in the water and kill themselves. Like one jumps in the water and then the other bot goes to try to save them and they both die. So, and the difficulty with bots is really fucking hard. Like you cannot
Yes.
I wouldn't say you could play that shit solo as it's scaled right now. This shit is really hard.
Yeah. The bots were basically useless. The only value I got out of it is, I think in my first game, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I died, and I was able to take over the bot's body and keep playing the same map. That was the only benefit to the bots.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
But all right, next we have the EA college football topic. So Randy, do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, so the biggest reason why the college football franchise stopped being produced in the first place was because there was a huge hang up on what EA thought was fair and what the college athletes thought was fair. So every year that you would get an NCAA game, it would have the real life rosters. Like, for example, like whenever Tim Tebow played for Florida, Tim Tebow would be the quarterback. It just wouldn't have his name. It would say QB 15, but literally everything's the same. His date of birth, his hometown, his stats, his number, his build, etc. And obviously that pissed off tons of athletes because they weren't being compensated. The guys in Madden get compensated, but since these are college athletes, they weren't. So EA announced earlier this year that they are going to be bringing back the NCAA franchise, except it's going to be with generic players, which I know for a fact I'm okay with that, because after about 3 or 4 seasons of the dynasty mode, they're all fake people anyway. But what's really good for the people that do care is it's looking like they are going to be able to pay the athletes in the future. So we will have real athletes in the game, not only all of their likeness, but their name as well. At launch, the game is likely not going to support that, but the way that their database is set up, it's going to be a very easy. It's basically going to be like an online update, like throughout the seasons. They already do that with games like Madden, where they do like roster updates and add new players and remove old players that are either out of the league or like legal troubles and shit like that. So it should be really seamless. I'm really excited. Like I said, I don't really care about the real players being in the game, but it's really cool that they're working to do that.
I think I don't mean to correct you, but I think the reason that it died, the college football, the NCAA franchise, is a lawsuit because the players wanted to be compensated from the NCAA, since EA was paying them a shit ton of money to use their teams, the Alabama Crimson Tide, whatever. And the players were getting nothing. And there was a major lawsuit, and it went in the players' favor, which is why we're seeing this. What are they calling it? The NIL or whatever it is, the name, identity, likeness. Yeah, whatever it stands for. That's what came out of the lawsuit. And right now, I'm pretty sure as you see, it's on the Twitch stream. It's not going to be called NCAA. I don't think the contract is with the NCAA. It's with specific teams, and they're hoping to get something with the actual players themselves. So, from my perspective, players they're the ones out there earning the money. These colleges make millions, sometimes billions of dollars on a player going out there and getting a concussion and working their asses off every Saturday. So I think it's an awesome breakthrough for the players, the ones that are putting themselves at risk. I don't know what this is going to look like. I'm curious because with Madden, the last couple of Maddens, they have the community channels. So, like if I wanted to play Madden 20, I can't get a roster update, but another player like me could have created a new roster, uploaded it, and then we can download it. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a factor. So if EA can kind of get away with it, we're not making them, but some asshole in their basement is actually making each player and uploading it. It could be an interesting development.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, like day one, basically. Because if they're gonna have downloadable rosters, I like you said, there's 100% gonna be guys out there doing that. They did it back in the day for the NCAA games, so I hope that they've got that. But if not, they're claiming that they'll do it themselves. Just we would have to wait for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I still have, I'm looking over at I think I have 14. I still play that on occasion. The NCAA games were so much better than the Madden games, especially the last couple of versions. This is cool. I'm excited about it.
So next we have the tragic death of Trevor Moore. I'm not sure if anyone doesn't know who he is. Like if you're into like edgy comedy, I guess you probably know who he is. Like he had the show on what network was it? IFC?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sketch comedy show called The Whitest Kids You Know. It was in like the mid 2000s. Really funny show. I don't think it kind of like aged well because that shit is like really edgy to be on TV. But yeah, he passed away this weekend tragically. I didn't see at the time when I like looked at that article. Do we know the cause of death? All I saw was that it was labeled as an accident.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's been, and I haven't looked for it because it sounds like the family's looking for privacy. So all all that they're saying right now is an accident.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like that show, it was one of the funniest shows I watched at the time as like a preteen, I guess. But like whenever a new episode would come on, like me and my friend would get on the phone and just watch that shit together and just crack up. It was so good. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it when it was on its initial run. It was one of those shows that kind of went viral before that was a common thing because I would get skits, specific sketches sent to me randomly from people. I think it was on E-Bombs World of all places. And yeah, we all loved it, but I was working nights at the time, so I didn't really watch it at current. But I would laugh my ass off when I got a skit, and then I ended up kind of binging it much later. And you mentioned that the comedy didn't age well. I kind of have a problem with that because I think that comedy is kind of timeless. If it's funny, it's funny. If it was funny in 2008, it's still funny in 2021. Some of the language or this some of the subject matter may have been should have been handled in a different way, a more sensitive way, but the underlying humor behind it is kind of timeless. At least my old ass thinks so. But
Yeah.
yeah, very funny. And if you haven't watched it, please go watch The Whitest Kids You Know. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's more or less what I was talking about. Like that shit is funny if you go watch it, but like the things they say and just the wording of some stuff, it could have been better. But yeah, that should always be
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, I agree.
All right, Randy, you got anything to say about that?
No, not really. I watched The Whitest Kids You Know. I think either at the very beginning or the very end. I don't know. That's kind of a large window. The show I think was on for like 5 years, so I really don't know. But I watched a good bit. I thought it was really funny. I mainly watched the skits on YouTube more so than anything. Like a few friends would, like we always had inside jokes. Obviously the Lincoln sketch. We still quote that to this day. But yeah, incredibly sad. The only thing I've got to say is typically whenever a death is ruled an accident, that's usually a really bad thing. And I just like I can't help but think, you know what I mean? Like I just hope that his passing wasn't terrible.
Yeah, yeah. It sucks. Just I think I obviously didn't know the dude, but I think he wanted to be remembered for his comedy. So the best way to honor someone is to fucking appreciate what the art that they put out into the world. So go fucking watch it.
For
Yeah.
sure. Right. Next we have Bam Margera suing Paramount. I'll hand
Yeah.
that to you, Steve. Go for it.
Yeah. So Dan Margera has been kind of spiraling hard for a while now. I think we even mentioned it in a previous episode. But he was kicked off of Jackass Forever, which is coming out I think in October. It's soon. And they fired him because he had a wellness agreement, which essentially meant his ass needed to be sober. And he failed the drug test. It looks like it was Adderall. And Margera's lawsuit claims, I've been on this for 10 years, if not longer. I have a prescription. This is not just for terminating my contract. And I don't know yet, but I bet there's going to be a lot more that comes out if this lawsuit proceeds because, the dude's clearly fucked up on more than Adderall. At least it appears to be. At the very least, he's drinking and taking it. I believe Adderall is an ADHD drug. I've never been on it, and none of my kids luckily haven't been on it either. I know it's abused in colleges quite a bit to help people fucking study and focus. At least that's what people tell me. Um, but yeah, he got fired by the producers of the film is what it's the article I read said, and that's who he's
So
suing.
so not that it really matters. I was on Adderall for about 7 years, I'd say, and I don't think I acted like odd in any way, but that's because I wasn't abusing it. So if he is acting odd and it's noticeably odd, either he's abusing it or, like you said, he's drinking or doing some other form of drugs. Because someone that is prescribed Adderall, typically, whenever they're taking the correct dosage, they function like a normal person. Like you would not know that someone's on Adderall unless they're either abusing it or they're just definitely not supposed to be using it. In which case, they're abusing it.
Yeah, yeah, and um, I don't really follow Instagram too much, but that was one of the page I did follow was Bam's because he's fucking spiraling and the shit he's posting. Like he had a notebook. It looked like the beginning of Seven, if you've seen that movie, where he's just on and on, pages and pages of just random. Looks like
Oh, are
free
you talking about
flowing.
his language that he wrote?
Yeah, yeah, it's fucking weird, dude. He's
Yeah,
out there.
I watched a video on it. So he's fucking crazy. He claims that he wrote a language. All he did was, now, admittedly, it's very strange, but he like created a font, and he was like writing all sorts of crazy shit. And all it is a font. It's still English, just with different characters as the letters. And then people were giving him shit about it. They're like, "Bro, that is a font. Like you did not invent a language." And then he went crazy on those people. So he's just fucking nuts, man. Like all over the place with it.
Yeah, and the what I was looking at, it was in his font, but it was like I don't know, like an entire notebook torn apart and every page
Yeah.
posted. It was, yeah, he's fucking out there. I hope he gets the help he needs, whether it's mental
Yeah.
health, whether it's drugs. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's clearly not in the right state of mind. And he was fired by the producers, which are all jackass people. It's Spike Jones, Johnny Knoxville, Steve O, Jeff Tremaine, and then a few names I didn't recognize. But if you look at their credits, they've all been producers on anything that Jackass has done or touches Jackass, like Bad Grandpa and Wild Boys and shit like that. So
That's
it's
what's most telling to me is that
mhm.
it's the guys that are, around him. It's not just some, corporate bigwigs that just don't like him for some reason. It's guys that actually know who he is and what he's about. So that's the scariest part about all of it because I mean, back in the day, we know that plenty of the guys that they were on shit. They're
Yeah.
all very upfront about it, and at least for the most part, I know for a fact that most of them are clean and awesome guys now. So that's really frightening that it's those guys that don't want to have him on.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is a shitty situation. You'd hope getting fired by your best friends or at least former best friends would be a rock bottom or a wake up call, but it doesn't look like it. He's fighting it. He's, suing them. So this sucks. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out because if it proceeds and shit becomes public, we'll know what the hell he's been doing and why they felt a need to take such drastic measures. But maybe it'll be severed before then. We'll see.
I have some very minor breaking news. Well, it's not really breaking. It's like 3 hours old. So did you guys watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, well, Idris Elba is going to be playing Knuckles in the second one.
that's hard.
that
That's
is good.
That's
that
hard.
that is awesome, but I would have never guessed that that's who they would cast for that role. Like, I don't even know how they landed him. Like, but I'm looking forward to it. I did not even watch the first one yet. I will watch it eventually. Frankly, I forgot that it existed. But that's really cool. Now I'm certainly going to be watching the second one.
Well,
Hell
a
yeah.
little teaser to upcoming topic is Idris Elba is in Suicide Squad, and he
Oh,
does really well. He's fucking awesome in it.
he really is. So, do we want to? I think I had a topic to do before this, but we can definitely go into that if you want to. I just want to be sure to warn the listeners before we get spoilers.
Do you wanna touch on the Marvel vs. Capcom 2
Yeah, I'll do
first?
that, and then we can slide into Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
But all right, yeah, if you're a gamer, retro gamer, you definitely know what Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is. One of the most iconic fighting games to date. Some people say that's the best fighting game still. Like it's highly regarded. People are still competing in tournaments for that shit daily, just like Smash Brothers Melee and shit. But recently there's been a resurgence of people trying to bring it back, get it remastered kind of thing. And it's being led by his I'm not sure what his actual name is, but I know he streams on Twitch and he's on Twitter, YouTube. His name's Maximilian Dude. I watch him almost every night when he streams, so I've been kind of up to date on what's been happening with this. So he put out a video just kind of ranting about how good the game is, things like that, and how if there were like minor improvements to it, it could be amazing even still. Like so he posted that video just to talk about it with a hashtag that says hashtag free MVC2. And it's been 12 years since the game came out, so everybody's kind of rooting for it to come back. And so when he posted that, a developer from where is it? From Digital Eclipse, Stephen Frost, he quoted that tweet, which is basically a reply on Twitter. And just for a little bit of background, Digital Eclipse worked on like restorations of previous Capcom and Disney games, like their little collections and such. So they've already been working with Capcom. So that's kind of wild how this guy reached out since he's been working with them already. But he says, "Would love to work on an updated release of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, adding some quality of life improvements as well as our signature Digital Eclipse behind the scenes goodies. Feel free to reach out to us and Capcom USA. We're standing by." So that's fucking awesome. Like if this game came out and got like modern day updates such as like rollback netcode and maybe a higher FPS and like a cleanup on the graphics and stuff, that shit would be sick. I would play that immediately.
Yeah, I would too. Something I did recently with my son is I grabbed an arcade one up cabinet from Walmart and converted it into a Raspberry Pi arcade cabinet. I updated the buttons, the joysticks, added a button, did a lot of shit. It was a fun project, but that one of the first games I played was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I had played it once or twice beforehand, but that shit is awesome. I think that's the game we play the most on that. If even if they did that, made an arcade one up version of it, that shit would sell like hotcakes. I'd much rather see a true remake. The one thing I'm always worried about is if they try to fucking, put shit behind a paywall, you only get part of the roster or any shit like that, which seems to be the microtransaction trend amongst modern producers and publishers really fucking sucks. And that's what I would worry about. But other than that, I would buy that shit day one as well. It would be a hell of a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And I think one of the things that's kind of driving this free MVC2 thing is the most recent Marvel vs. Capcom, which was I believe Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That shit
Mhm.
sucked. It wasn't good.
Yes.
So
Yep.
people immediately went back to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is still decent, but it didn't get a lot of support after they released it. So it kind of just got released and stayed, other than like balance updates and shit. But there's actually another tweet that that came out from just a couple of FGC, which is fighting game community kind of big people. They were just replying to that tweet saying things like, "Would love to see it happen. Seriously, thanks for listening to the community and acknowledging how a re-release could be improved, such as better rollback netcode," which is rollback netcode is like the gold tier for fighting game netcode. That's what you want in a fighting game. Smash Brothers doesn't have that, and that's why the online sucks ass.
So, my understanding of it, and I could be wrong, please correct me, is rollback netcode is essentially the game tries to predict your movement and to make the experience better, it starts moving in that direction. And if you end up doing something different, it will roll it back. So instead of having a game that is fully lagging or just is a shit experience, it tries to predict it and improve the experience. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, that's basically my understanding of it.
Okay.
So yeah, it just kind of makes
Yeah.
for a smoother experience.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah,
Yeah. Well, hopefully this happens. I'd buy that shit day one.
hell yeah, the roster was amazing, and like the Marvel vs. Capcom games, they're very beginner friendly. Like you can button mash fucking forever and just have an absolute blast. But it's also
Yeah.
very technical to where like the higher level players have those infinite combos and shit, and just that's have fun that way too. So that's sick. Would definitely love for this shit to pick up. Which that tweet of Maximilian, like him ranting about it, that has thousands and thousands of retweets and favorites. So it's definitely getting some attention. So just gotta keep watching it. Hopefully something happens with it, and if it does, we will probably be talking about it.